Okay, we'll leave it there today, sir. Thanks a lot for joining us. That's on Federal Bank. Well, let's look at the market once because it's really all over the place and there's so much volatility already within the first 45 minutes of trade. The Nifty is now down about 67 points, but the broader market is doing well. The mid-cap index is in the green, advanced decline, favoring advances, and really ONGC is your stock of the day. Both factors working here, the gas price hike and the fact that, the windfall gains tax has been cut. And the other sector which is making a big move is pharma. Just look at names: Glenmark Pharma, Lupin, Aurobindo Pharma, Zydus Life. Now, from the market's point of view, that's not good because, it just means that, all of a sudden you're beginning to make a bit of a move towards defensives. But Lupin clearly stands out. For the last 2 days, there's been some strong rally in Lupin. So, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so that's on Lupin and the pharmaceutical space. But the consumer segment is in focus right now. How is the consumer sentiment panning out post the monsoon season and ahead of Diwali? Mayank Shah, who's the senior category head at Parle Products, and Puneet Avasthi, who is the Senior Executive Director, Specialist Businesses Insights Division at Kantar, joins us now to talk about that. Mayank, let me start with you. The festive season has kicked off with a bang for sure, but how is the consumption pattern looking like on the ground?
As far as consumption is concerned, I think it's pretty robust demand that we are seeing coming in from market. In fact, if we are talking about urban markets as well as rural markets, I think a very heartening thing is that demand is coming from across. Rural markets, which were a concern till last year, have revived, and there's a very strong revival of demand happening in rural India, which is adding to the growth. So if you're talking about the festive growth, we are seeing very good festive growth after 2 years of muted celebrities or muted celebrations of festive season. So this year seems to be really, the one where we're expecting people to go out and, buy, in fact, celebrate going all out, given that the pandemic is on a wane and with very high levels of vaccination. I think consumers are very confident. They are going out, they're spending, and we are seeing very, very strong demand coming in. In fact, right from the beginning of the festive season, which, typically starts with Raksha Bandhan, we have been seeing very strong demand coming in.
Okay. Puneet Avasthi is also with us. He's from Kantar. Puneet, tell us a little bit about the consumption patterns now, because we do, when you speak to experts, you get a sense that the new age essentials, whether it's mobile phones, electronics, etc., has picked up in a big way. There's premiumization as well. What are you noticing?
So I'll specifically talk about rural markets and then I'll come to, in general, how things are evolving. But in rural India, what's clearly coming out is that the incomes too have gone up with inflation going up. Income too has gone up. And as a result of that, there is a certain modicum of comfort that people have in the rural economy. And I think towards the middle of this year, things were a little worrisome as such, where consumer had started cutting down on spending. But since then, we believe because of the surpluses that are there in rural India, consumer spending is going to kind of bounce back. And what we're seeing is that consumers are spending in rural India across the board. They are spending on electronics, they're spending on equipment at kitchen, they are spending money on construction activities. So it's a fairly broad-based expenditure basket that one is looking at. But at the same time, the inflationary situation needs to be watched and needs to be constantly be kept track of, because things are a little uncertain as such. People do have a sense that the economy is a little unstable, whilst their personal economic financial situation is not as much affected.
Puneet, one feedback we had, especially when you mentioned direct kitchen appliances, etc. I remember we had the management of TTK Prestige who told us that, entry-level pressure cooker segment, which is about 60% of their business, was stagnant. I mean, this is now a month old. The comment which the management of TTK made to us. How would you explain that, characterize that, and the data that you have, is it as of the end of... is it how latest is this data? One other segment in mobile phones, what we've seen is that people are upgrading, right? People who are buying entry-level smartphones, I mean, are buying slightly more expensive phones. I mean, that is the evidence. I saw some data recently from one of the research firms there. Just kind of tie both those things in. Is that happening across the board? People are kind of going up the value chain, trading for higher priced products? Go on.
So consumers are actually in the rural context going for smartphones as such, because they're clearly seeing the benefits of connectivity, being able to kind of access internet, and there is that much stronger growth in internet consumption in rural India altogether. What's happening in rural is, with electrification, the kitchen is being modernized with a lot more electric powered equipment as such. So whilst the LPG systems as such were there, people have realized that it's probably more effective if they were to invest in electric powered stoves, etc. And that is where the investment is happening. And I guess with the kitchen kind of being a focus, and particularly in light of the fact that women have a stronger role today in rural purchases than, say, around 5-10 years ago. So that is something that is changing the kitchen, and I'm sure things will kind of pick up even for the pressure cooker industry. But electric appliances, yes, there is a growth.
Mayank, coming on this, on rural India, how has the demand been for, say, smaller packs or even for premium products? Where are you seeing the maximum amount of demand come through?
So it is indeed, the market has moved towards smaller packs, but Mayank would know this.
Sorry, this question was for Mayank. Yeah. Mayank, go ahead.
Yeah, so we're seeing very good demand coming in from rural, both on small as well as big packs and even premium. So when I shared earlier in my earlier answer that there's strong demand coming in from rural, Puneet partly touched upon it. He said that, the income level is on rise, and a very important reason behind that is good realization of Rabi crop. So if you all remember, I think Rabi crop was good, the one which was harvested in March, April. And then because of the geopolitical tensions, farmers got very good realization of wheat. Government banned the exports of wheat a little later. By then, I think, farmers had sold their produce and they had got excellent prices for their produce. That was one of the reasons why, because of, better produce as well as better yield. In fact, we had good production happening of wheat this time. As a result of that, I think farmers had enough money, primarily in rural India. Add to it good monsoon this time. I think, there was a bit of concern on the northern part, especially UP and BR, but there too, monsoon made up towards the fag end of, monsoon, or rains made up for the deficit made up for towards the fag end of monsoon. As a result of which, farmers are optimistic even for the Kharif season coming up. They are expecting good crop here as well. Given this, I think, the spends happening in rural are much better, higher compared to the earlier times. Add to it the festive season, all these things putting together, I think we're seeing good demand in rural. As you rightly said, I think not just small packs, in fact, we are even seeing big packs being purchased in rural, and premium products are also doing well. I mean, this is, not a normal thing. Normally, you would expect smaller packs doing better in rural and maybe, few categories. But currently, we are seeing across the board growth in rural, primarily because of the reasons that I just shared.
Okay. Puneet, I wanted your thoughts on this whole online and D2C channel, right? How much has it improved? Because I don't remember the last time I stepped into a grocery store. Everything now is being purchased online, especially FMCG. So can you tell us what is your data indicating now in terms of a growth there in e-commerce?
So e-commerce is one of the secular trends in terms of growth over a much longer period, and the pandemic really accelerated something that was in any case a very strong and deeply entrenched trend as such. It was very strong in urban markets, but we'd also realized that e-commerce was, in a sense, a leveling of the distribution divide by making products available to people who were not able to access some of those products earlier as such. And that is something that is kind of getting extended now with better rural connectivity. There is going to be that much more, and we are seeing that, and there is greater digital inclusion that is today visible in rural India, when many more people kind of accessing financial payments, digital payments in rural India. So overall, e-commerce per se is kind of deepening its reach across the country, and within that, the D2C phenomena is quite a strong emergent phenomena, particularly in select categories that require consumers. That require a more differentiated experience. Often, there is increasingly the urge to seek a more differentiated experience even whilst they are shopping on e-commerce, which at times marketplaces are not able to reflect as well. And that's where D2C really comes in, and it's kind of been very effectively been doing it in categories such as beauty, cosmetics, and a whole host of such categories.
All right, gentlemen, thanks a lot for joining us and taking us through this discussion. The market, by the way, is now at the low point of the morning. The Nifty is down 135 points, and the Bank Nifty has taken a turn for the worse, and that's led to this last bit of decline. The Bank Nifty is now down full 1 percentage point. Remember, on Friday, the Bank Nifty was up 3%. So it's given up 1% of that. Almost 1/3 of that rally is gone. We'll take a break. Up next, we'll get you fresh technical calls. Shrikant Chauhan will join us for that. Stay tuned.